Hello my friends, and welcome back to my channel. Hello, it's been a little while since I filmed a video, so I thought I would film a few real quick. I do have a cold, so I probably sound a little awful, but today I have some small town romance recommendations for you that I have really loved. I love small town romances. They always just feel so cozy. They're usually really easy to get into, and they're oftentimes a really good like palate cleanser if you're in between maybe heavier books or bigger books. And they're just something that usually gives a really good boost of serotonin. So the first book that I want to mention is Unraveling Him by Claire Kingsley. This is such a wonderful small town romance. This book was recommended to me by Jessin. I'm part of her Patreon, and I think it was last year or maybe the year before. I think it actually was 2021. This was one of the Patreon books that we would read and then talk about it in a live show. It's absolutely delightful. This is Grumpy Sunshine, obviously small town. We have a mechanic and a heroine who needs help with her car. She goes to this grumpy hero and he doesn't want to help her at all, but she has something that is going to compel him to want to help her, and so they end up in an arrangement where he is helping her fix her car, and it's just so delightful. There's so much about this book that is just charming and fun and just so engaging from beginning to end. This is one of those books that I read it like all at once. I listened to the audio and it just like left me so happy. So I absolutely loved this book. I think this is one of the best small town romances that I've read, and I enjoyed it a whole bunch. And the next book that I have is The One Who Loves You by Pippa Grant. This one is another small town romance that is very fun and very sweet. We have, again, a grumpy hero, but we also have a little bit of a grumpy heroine who is also kind of sunshiny. She ends up going to this small town, her and her very wealthy family, because her grandmother is determined that they need to receive some penance for being wealthy, rich, and selfish. So they're going to this small town to try and stop themselves from going to hell, basically. And it's really, truly fun. It's very charming. The hero is a single dad. He ends up running into the heroine several times, and of course they have a little bit of attraction, and it's just so great to watch that gradually build over the course of the story. It was funny, it was sweet, it was cute, it was just such a good time, and this is one that is read and listen on KU, so you can get the Kindle Unlimited book and then the audiobook for free as well, and this was delightful. I absolutely loved this one. Okay, so now this next one is Rushed, which is also a Kindle Unlimited read and listen, so you can get it on Kindle Unlimited, and then it comes with the audio for free as well. This one is a little bit unique because we have the heroine who ends up going on this like backpacking wilderness type of journey that was supposed to be a couples retreat, so she ended up just breaking up with her fiance. They didn't get to go to the couples retreat together, but she's like not gonna let that slip away from her, so she goes on her own, and she ends up falling in love with one of the guides there that is with her, and he is supposed to obviously not fraternize with the guests who come, and you know, you think that he wouldn't because it's a couples retreat. But this was very sweet. This was very just easy to read, easy to get along with. It had a really great location setting, and I liked the ending of this. It was a little bit different than I was expecting. None of the books that I've mentioned so far have any type of suspense. I kind of don't like that in my small town romance. If I want a suspense book, I'm gonna go for a thriller. When I come to small town romance, I want something that's just usually very fun, happy, upbeat. I don't want murder, mystery, and trauma in my small town romances, so that is definitely not something you will find here, but this was just absolutely delightful, maybe a little bit predictable, but just such an enjoyable read, and I really loved their romance together. It seemed like an unlikely pairing, but it ended up working out really perfectly. Okay, the next book that I have is Quarter Miles by Devney Perry. This whole series, this Runaway series, they're all very short. These are excellent palate cleansers. Again, if you need something in between longer books, if you just need to feel like you're accomplishing something and get a book read, this is a really good one for you. I think Devney Perry does small town romance really well. She really has a gift for writing her characters so that they feel real and so that you can get invested in their romance right away. And all of them sort of end up feeling a little bit the same in this series, but this one was really, really sweet because we have our heroine who's sort of had feelings for the hero for a very long time. He saved her from a runaway goat when they were kids. They were like orphans and running away, living in like this junkyard type of thing. That's the whole premise for the series. And she has just held a torch for him forever, and she's trying to move on, but it's finding it difficult to do so. So she ends up deciding she's going to take this road trip across the country, and lo and behold, who wants to go with her but the hero? He is just like, I think I'm going to accompany you, and so they end up in forced proximity situations and feelings are talked about and explored, and it's just really, truly delightful, and I enjoyed this series as a whole, but this one, I think the combination of friends to lovers and the history they had and the fact that they were in forced proximity just made this one especially delightful, and I really enjoyed it. This next one is one of my favorite small town romances, and it is The Frontrunner by Elsie Silver. This is such a good one. I think so many times people talk about Heartless and Flawless, you know, her Chestnut Spring series, and that is fabulous as well, but this book I think is kind of a slept-on gem. I really love this one. We have a veterinarian heroine who is the veterinarian of this racehorse ranch, and we have our hero who owns another racehorse ranch, and they end up sort of in forced proximity when he, out of necessity, says, I need you to come help me save this mare's life, and she's got a foal who needs a mare, and it's just like so delightful. And if you were a horse girl as a kid and you loved the Thoroughbred books, you gotta read this. You gotta read this whole series because it just is giving me those vibes, but like adult romance, and it's just so great. So he's a grumpy, rich billionaire, sort of has this vibe of being a playboy, and she is very skeptical of him. And so as they're in this forced proximity situation, she ends up realizing that he's not who she thought he was, and he really has a heart of gold, and he has this younger sister who he's taking care of, and that dynamic plays out really well between the heroine and the younger sister, and this was delightful from start to finish. I absolutely adored it, and I highly recommend it. Okay, so now the last book that I have to recommend is from one of my favorite authors, and it is Juliet Cross, and it is Bright Like Wildfire. This is a book that I've recommended several times before. Juliet Cross is such a fantastic author, and this is another book that I feel like is kind of slept on. Most people know her for her Stay a Spell series, which is paranormal romance, and that is fantastic as well. But she really caught all the vibes for a small town romance in this book for me. She had that cozy, small town, close-knit feel. She had a lot of those elements that make you really love the Stay a Spell series, like a sense of family and sort of like side pets and characters and great connection and chemistry. That is everything you're going to find in this book. It's so well done here. And the premise of this is we have this couple, well, they're not a couple, but she's a teacher and she is working on this drama production for the town, this theater production, and he also is working on that, and they end up paired together as the love interests in this theater production. So if you love drama as a kid, if you love theater, you gotta pick this one up. It's so fun. But they have great banter. There is this sort of animosity when they meet together to work through these scenes as the love interests in this play that very gradually develops into real feelings, and both of them have this big attraction for one another, and he specifically has been pining for her for a really long time, and it just is a pure delight. I loved this book so much. It was so fun, it was so sweet, and just a great time. So thank you so much for watching this video. I decided to keep it short and sweet because these books are short and sweet in themselves. There's not a lot of external conflict that you're going to get here. You're going to get just a really slice of life, great, comforting, just good time small town romance. So let me know what you thought about this video. If you want to leave me an emoji and let me know you were here, please feel free to leave me a blue heart, and I'll see y'all in my next video.